Astrology in Greek mythology in the Elizabethan era. What is astrology? Astrology is the belief that the alignment of stars and planets affects every individual's mood, personality, and environment depending on when they were born. Horoscopes make predictions in people's lives, describe their personalities, and give them advice based on the position of one's astronomical body. Horoscopes are most widely known. Astrology was invented to help people on their journeys through life. Around 2,400 years ago, the Babylonians started to predict the future based on the position of the sun, moon, and the 5 most visible planets, and it is used a lot now, which is crazy. During this era, astrology was accepted as the primary science, and it is used for more than discovery but for calendars, medical purposes, horticulture, agricultural practices, navigation, and etc. Dr. John Dee was the greatest astrologer during the Renaissance era. He worked with his associate Edward Kelly, and they would go on to make predictions for even Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth was a big believer in astrology and even had her coronation day on June 15, 1559, which was the day John Dee cast for her based on her horoscope. Dr. John Dee and Edward Kelly believed the use of the crystal ball and the art of scrying be used as a technique for seeing supernatural images, for gaining secret knowledge, or making predictions. There were many famous and influential people who would use astrology in their art and plays, and one of those people were William Shakespeare. He made over 100 references to astrology from plays like The Tempest, whose main character is believed to be based on John Dee, Prospero, to Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare makes many connections between characters and the planets. He often has his characters' names connect to the planets. In Romeo and Juliet, you have Tybalt. He is like your typical fiery Mars character. He is always in fights and hates with all his heart the Montagues. Shakespeare plays on the double aspect of astrology. 2 households, both alike in dignity, from forth the fatal loins of these 2 foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventure piteous overthrows. There are 2 zodiacal signs with pairs, and one of them is Gemini. Gemini is ruled under Mercury, and if you look at another important character, Romeo's friend, Mercutio, you can see that his name is played on Mercury. Through the entire play, Shakespeare plays on the double and opposite aspect. Mercutio is talkative, a joker, and easily distracted, while one of Juliet's best companions, her nurse, is almost the exact same. She is witty as well as Mercutio, and they are both jokers. One of the biggest callbacks to Mercury is miscommunication. Juliet was only asleep, but because of this miscommunication, Romeo ends up ending his life to be with Juliet. But Juliet wasn't dead, making Juliet to then end her life to be with Romeo. Shakespeare also used Greek mythology in his work. What is Greek mythology? Greek mythology, as in other ancient cultures, was used as a means to explain the environment in which humankind lived, the natural phenomena they witnessed, and the passing of time through the days, months, and seasons. Myths were also intricately connected to religion in the Greek world and explained the origin and lives of the gods, where humanity had come from and where it was going after death, and gave advice on the best way to lead a happy life. In the Elizabethan era, most of them were Christians, so a lot of them didn't believe in Greek mythology, but many of them were fascinated with it. The Renaissance was a time of renewed interest in the world and accomplishments of the ancient Greeks and Romans. There were many people who would look back on the classical texts for inspiration, one of those people being Shakespeare. Shakespeare took a lot of inspiration from Greek mythology. He has plays that are based in that time and based on people of that time as well. Many of his plays have little bits of references to classical literature. One of his most famous was Troilus and Cressida, based on the Trojan War. He uses his references to these classics to illuminate certain traits in his characters. He wouldn't usually straight out write about Greek mythology, but more about the feelings and actions those people felt and did. Shakespeare, instead of Homer, who would write his translations more mechanical, would write dramas and struggles based on their life.